idea of the owl's breeding season rituals, even if this is just based on what we know about birds in general. This probably entails basic information about how birds nest and how long they sit on their eggs, but how many of us know how an owl gets pregnant and what exactly an owl's reproductive system looks like? In this article I will be diving into the wonderful world of the owl's reproductive system, and taking a look at what it means to be a male and a female owl ready to have some owlets. So first of all, let's start with the basics of puberty. Throwback. Owls tend to hit what we know as puberty very fast, so fast that they can even be considered sexually mature at 5 months old. Amazing, right? But most owls will vary between 5 months to 2 years of age to reach full sexual maturity. The male and the female owl have some similarities when it comes to their reproductive organs, such as both having a cloaca. This is an opening which leads to the reproductive system because neither sex have external reproductive organs that are visible. The cloaca is basically one opening used for mating and excreting. Unlike humans who have multiple openings, males have 2, females have 3. So let's try and break it down a little for ease and begin with the females. Ladies first, right? So, a female owl's reproductive system consists of one ovary that connects to the oviduct. An oviduct is the tube which the egg passes through from the ovary. Male owls have testes which enlarge during the breeding season so they can produce sperm, and this sperm will be passed from the male cloaca to the female's cloaca by putting their cloacas together and depositing the sperm across. Just like human reproduction, the sperm will then travel to the egg inside the female and fertilize it. Once the egg is fertilized, it will start off soft and small and eventually will grow bigger and will begin to harden enough so she can lay it. The egg hardens by being coated by several layers of albumin, which will become the egg white. Then another 2 coatings of the outer shell to harden it and protect the fetus growing inside. The sperm can be stored inside the female for up to 100 days and will fertilize the eggs individually as they leave the ovary. The eggs are then laid and incubation will begin, lasting around 30 days. The female will incubate the eggs mainly as she has an area of skin with less feathers and more blood vessels near the surface, which is thinner and therefore allows more heat to escape to warm the eggs. I hope this has been informative and has given a simple yet interesting insight into the biology of owls and how the wonders of breeding actually occurs. It can be quite confusing trying to understand how a hard egg is formed inside any bird and how this egg was fertilized, so I hope this has explained this process, albeit briefly. Their fearsome appearance and reptilian pedigree, crocodiles exhibit surprisingly complex social interactions and a remarkable degree of parental investment in their offspring. Crocodiles mate in a similar fashion to other reptiles, but they go to great lengths to construct egg nests. Even after the young hatch, the mothers guard their young for some time. Anatomically correct. Crocodiles of both sexes have a slit near the junction of their legs and tail, on their ventral side. Called the vent, this slit leads to their cloaca, a shared chamber at the end of the reproductive and digestive tracts. The cloaca leads to the oviduct, roughly equivalent to the uterus and fallopian tubes of mammals, in females. In males, the cloaca holds their penis, which they keep internally when not in use. Turf wars. Male crocodiles maintain a territory in which several females may reside. Males will guard their territories from other males through a series of vocalizations and aggressive postures. If such displays do not dissuade a trespassing male, the conflict may become physical. Battling crocodiles thrash, bite, and claw their rival, trying to obtain a dominant position. Eventually, the loser will retreat, and the winner will have acquired or successfully defended a bevy of females. When approaching a female, courting males will emit vocalizations and swim around prospective mates closely, attempting to entice them into breeding. Crocodile copulation. Crocodiles typically mate underwater. The male will grasp the female, often from the side, and align their cloacas. The male will evert his penis and insert it into the female's cloaca. Because the mating activities of crocodiles typically occur in seclusion, and it happens underwater, humans rarely observe the behavior. The mating process typically lasts several minutes, but a given pair may mate several times over the course of one season to ensure fertilization. Eggs are usually laid about 4 to 6 weeks after mating. Nesting needs. As the time for egg deposition approaches, female crocodiles construct a large nest of grass, leaves and sticks. The nest serves several purposes. In addition to helping to maintain a thermally stable and appropriately humid environment, the height of the nest reduces the chances that a flood will destroy the eggs and stay together for life. In commercial flocks, a gander, the male, is generally paired with 3 to 4 females. Once a gander has his harem set up, it shouldn't be changed. It takes some time for domestic geese to take on new mates, although it will eventually occur. Wild geese. Most species of wild geese mate for life, although a surviving bird will find another mate if the original partner dies. The Canada goose is the most common and best known of wild geese species in North America. These geese begin mating and reproducing at the age of 3 years. Mating season extends from midwinter to early spring. Signs that mating will soon occur include neck-dipping behavior, in which both male and female move their necks up and down. Males court females, but the female makes the decision as to who will be her mate. Once chosen, males become protective of their mates and fight off other males who want to pursue her. Sexing geese. If you intend to breed geese, you need to identify the genders. It's not always easy to tell the difference in young birds. The gander is generally larger than the goose. He usually has a bigger head and neck. Depending on the breed, the gander is often a lighter shade than the goose. Listen to your geese. The gander's voice is actually higher than the goose's. Her voice is usually harsher. Mating behavior. Just as people generally shower and change into clean clothes before heading out on a date, geese clean themselves up before breeding. They might preen or take a good dust bath. A gander's pre-mating behavior also consists of wing spreading, stretching, and flapping, along with gentle and aggressive pecking of his mate. He then mounts and copulates. During breeding season, a mated pair might copulate at least 5 times a day. Nesting and laying eggs. Like their wild cousins, domestic geese are hardy birds. You can keep breeding pairs or groups outdoors in all but the worst weather, as long as they're safe from predators. Provide nest boxes filled with hay or straw for the goose to lay her eggs. Depending on the species, geese incubate eggs between 29 and 35 days. If you keep other poultry species, you might want to remove the goose eggs shortly after they are laid and place them under broody hens or ducks. Domestic geese tend to be less maternal than other types of fowl. I is the manual transfer of semen into the female's vagina. Basically, it is a 2-step procedure. First, collecting semen from the male, and second, inseminating the semen into the female. Artificial insemination was first practiced in America during the 1920s and then used widely in Australia with the introduction of laying cages during late 1950s. AI is the method of choice for the geneticist for maintaining the pedigreed mating. Broad-breasted turkey was produced by genetic selection, which is physically incapable of natural mating, so in such birds AI is the only way of mating. AI is done to minimize the size of male flock in guinea fowl, as in guinea fowl 1 male is used for 2-3 female. Some of the advantages of artificial insemination in the poultry are: 1. Increased mating ratio. Normally 1 cockerel can mate to 6 to 10 hens. With artificial insemination this ratio could be increased 4-fold. 2. Older males having outstanding performance can be used for several generations. Whereas under natural mating their useful life is limited. 3. Valuable male birds having the leg injury can still be used for artificial insemination. 4. Elimination of preferential mating. When there is poor fertility caused by preferential mating, it can be eliminated. 5. Successful crossbreeding. Although crossbreeding is very successful under natural conditions, but sometimes there is a kind of color discrimination, as some hens will not mate with a male of a different color unless they have been reared together. In such condition AI helps in successful crossbreeding. Artificial insemination. Day-old male parent chicks are supplied dubbed and detoed. Males are reared separately from 0 to 21 weeks of age. Start with 12% males in case of natural mating and 8% in case of artificial insemination. At the beginning of the breeding season, 22 weeks, introduce 8 males per 100 females. Replace weak, lame, and sick males promptly. In case of AI, maintain at least 5% males, which can yield about 0.5 milliliters neat semen per ejaculate with not less than 60% motility. Inseminate females once in 5 days, with 0.03 to 0.05 milliliters of neat semen, within 30 minutes after collection. Artificial insemination, AI, is an important tool to improve the reproductive performance of birds, especially broiler breeders where fertility is low due to heavy body weight. Even though AI is well-developed technique in cattle, is not so well developed in poultry because no standard technique is available to store poultry semen for a long period. The techniques available at present permits to collect semen and use it for insemination immediately with or without dilution using semen diluent S at 1:2 ratios. Semen collected from one cock is sufficient for inseminating 5 to 10 hens depending upon the semen volume and sperm concentration. At farms, where AI is practiced, the males are kept separately in individual cages where sufficient space is available for movement of the birds. There should be a team of workers to associate collection and insemination of semen. Frequent changes of personnel in the team may affect the normal behavior of birds. Rough handling should be avoided, if not it may develop fear reaction, which affects the semen volume during ejaculation. Characteristics of poultry semen. Usually cocks start producing semen from the age of 16 weeks, but the fertilizing capacity of the semen is low. So, the cocks from 22 or 24 weeks of age are used for semen collection. The natural color of poultry semen is white or pearly white. Heavy breed male can produce 0.75 to 1 milliliter semen and light breed male can produce 0.4 to 0.6 milliliters of semen. A male can be used thrice in a week for semen collection with a gap of 1 day. Although everyday semen collection will not change the fertilizing capacity, but the volume of semen will be low. Semen consists of spermatozoa and seminal plasma. Fowl semen is generally highly concentrated, 3 to 8 billion spermatozoa per ml for broiler fowl. This is due to the presence of limited amount of seminal plasma since the accessory reproductive organs are absent in avian species. The seminal plasma is derived from the testes and excurrent ducts. At the time of ejaculation, a lymph-like fluid, also known as transparent fluid, of cloacal origin may be added to the semen in varying amounts. The addition of transparent fluid to semen at the time of ejaculation acts as an activating medium for the previously non-motile spermatozoa, thus ensuring their transport from the site of deposition to the sites of sperm storage tubules in the uterovaginal junction of the hen's oviduct. Equipments needed for A.I. Small glass funnel with stem plugged with wax. Inseminating syringe. Wide-mouthed glass vial. Small Pyrex semen cup. Large flask to hold water at 180 C to 200 C range for short time holding of semen. Steps in artificial insemination. AI in poultry is a 3-step procedure involving semen collection, semen dilution, and insemination. The second step may be omitted if neat semen, undiluted, is to be used for insemination within 30 minutes after collection. Semen collection. The first step in AI program is manual collection, milking, of the semen. For semen collection, a team of 2 members are generally involved, one for restraining the male and the other for collecting semen. The bird is held in a horizontal position by a person at a height convenient to the operator who is attempting to collect the semen. To collect semen, the operator should place the thumb and index finger of the left hand on either side of the cloaca and massage gently. By his right hand, the operator should hold a collecting funnel and with the thumb and index finger massage the soft part of abdomen below the pelvic bones. Massage should be rapid and continuous until the cock protrudes the papilla from the cloaca. Once the papilla is fully protruded, the previously positioned thumb and index finger of the left hand are used to squeeze out the semen into the collecting funnel. Avoid contamination of semen with feces and feather. Semen evaluation at the time of collection. Normal color of the semen in pearly white or cream colored. Yellow semen and semen contaminated with blood, urates, feces, or other debris should be avoided. Do not allow semen to contact water. If debris or contaminants are observed in pooled semen, carefully aspirate contaminants from the sample before mixing with additional diluent with the semen. Place the diluted semen in a cooler or refrigerator, 3 to 12 degrees Celsius, to cool down. Insemination. All equipment used for insemination should be thoroughly cleaned and dry before use. Insemination must be carried out when majority of the birds completed laying, since a hard-shelled egg in the lower end of the oviduct obstructs insemination and lowers fertility. In practice, inseminating chicken after 3 p.m. obtained better results. It is difficult to inseminate non-laying hens. Usually insemination is done when the flock reaches 25% egg production. Hens are inseminated twice during first week, then at weekly intervals. Procedure. Bird is held by the legs with the left hand down and tail tucked back and against the operator chest. The thumb of the right hand is placed against the upper lip of the vent, then with a rounding motion press the abdomen muscle. Do not squeeze with fingers but apply pressure evenly with the palm of the hand. When the oviduct is averted, the second operator inserts the syringe into oviduct as far as it is going inside without exerting pressure. The insemination apparatus is introduced into the vagina about 1 inch and semen is deposited at the junction of vagina and uterus. Dose and frequency of insemination. Chicken, 0.05 milliliters, once in a week. It has been observed that the males produce more semen of good quality during morning and females produce more fertile eggs when inseminated around 9 p.m. The benefits of AI for broilers would include the following. The male-female ratio would be increased from 1:10 for natural mating to 1:25 with AI. With fewer males needed, there would be greater selection pressure on the male traits of economic importance and subsequently greater genetic advancement per generation. It may happen that sometime in the future, research addressing poultry sperm biology and the cellular and molecular basis of oviductal spermatozoa transport, selection, and storage will lead to the following innovations in poultry AI technology. Insemination intervals increased to 10 to 14 days, versus 7-day, with fewer sperm per insemination. In vitro sperm storage for 24 to 36H at ambient temperature with minimal loss of sperm viability.
The male mounts the female from behind. Female lions might be aggressive because of the hormones released while mating. After mating, a female lion often rolls on her back, a behavior scientists don't have a good explanation for. The gestation period can last anywhere from 110 to 180 days. When a female is pregnant, she will hunt and bring food back for the male as well. This is because, during this time, he must protect both her and their cubs from other lions who would like nothing better than to make an easy meal out of them. Once they give birth, the female will often go off on her own to protect her cubs from being killed by other animals, including the male lion she mated with. They have no time to mate again until their young cubs are over 2 years old, at which time they will be driven off by the male as he wants to mate with other females and produce more offspring. So, while the males may get all the mating benefits, this is not true. All the females can and do enjoy many of them as well. Why do lions bite when mating? One of the more interesting behaviors of lions is their tendency to bite when mating. While this may seem counterintuitive to some, it is actually a natural behavior that helps ensure successful mating and reproduction. When a male lion bites a female lion during mating, it triggers ovulation, increasing the chances of conception. Additionally, the biting behavior helps the male to maintain control and prevent injury during copulation. While it may seem aggressive, biting is just one of the many fascinating ways that lions navigate the complex world of mating and lions' reproduction. Do lions have mates for life? In the world of lion mating, close-up encounters reveal fascinating dynamics. While lions do not have mates for life, they form temporary bonds during the lion mating season. During this season, male and female lions venture out to hunt, providing sustenance not only for themselves but also for the growing young male cubs and female cubs. These hunting lessons play a vital role in preparing the young males and females for their future roles within the pride and contribute to the survival of the entire lion community.
Mating is crucial for horse owners, breeders, and veterinarians. In this post, our southern Wisconsin vets will explore the process of how horses mate, horse breeding season, and the differences between wild and domestic horse breeding. How do horses mate and for how long? The process of horse mating, like most animals, is an instinctual behavior driven by hormones. When a mare, the female horse, is in heat, she displays signs of receptivity, such as frequent urination, tail raising, and flirting with potential mates. The stallion, the male horse, detects these cues and begins the courtship process. During courtship, the stallion may display dominance or gently nip the mare. If the mare accepts his advances, they mate. This natural process of breeding typically only lasts a few minutes. While this is the most natural method of breeding, not all horses will effectively or consistently mate, which is why artificial insemination is a more common method breeders are using for their horses in recent years. Behavior changes after mating. After mating, it is common for both the mare and the stallion to exhibit changes in their behavior. The mare may display post-mating aggression due to hormonal fluctuations. It's not uncommon for mares to become irritable or protective of their breeding territory. On the other hand, you might notice a stallion act with increased vigilance or protective behavior towards the mare. Horse breeding season and heat duration. The horse breeding season varies in length depending on geographic location and individual horses. In general, most domestic horses experience a breeding season that spans from early spring to late summer. During this period, mares enter a phase called heat or estrus, where they are receptive to mating. A mare's heat cycle typically recurs every 21 days, with each heat period within the cycle lasting around 5 to 7 days. It's important to note that mares may show signs of heat, such as increased restlessness and interest in stallions, during this time. However, not all mares exhibit obvious signs, making it crucial for horse breeders to closely monitor their mares' behavior and employ veterinary techniques for accurate breeding timing. Wild versus domestic horse breeding and mating. In the wild, horses engage in natural breeding behaviors led by their instinct. Wild horse populations typically have a specific breeding season. In contrast, domestic horse breeding often involves controlled mating to achieve desired characteristics or breed standards. Horse breeders will carefully manage the breeding process by monitoring heat cycles, using artificial insemination techniques, or employing stallion services. Understanding how horses mate and their mating behavior is essential for horse owners, breeders, and veterinarians. From courtship rituals to behavioral changes after mating, this knowledge helps in managing successful breeding programs. It is key to remember that the horse breeding season and heat duration can vary, and domestic breeding practices differ from those observed in the wild. By 20% and then 10% in the subsequent 3-week periods. With this level of reproductive efficiency, you will produce an even line of calves of roughly the same age, making them easier to manage and market. To achieve these objectives, consider the following aspects of bull management: bull health management, body condition prior to mating, breeding soundness of bulls, effective use of bulls, cow condition, bull health management, worms. Bulls are often stocked in small bull paddocks for long periods of the year and can therefore be prone to worm infestations. Drench bulls annually, preferably in summer, with the most effective drench to combat the inhibited larval stage of intestinal roundworms. Clostridial disease. Bulls should be vaccinated annually against clostridial diseases. Newly purchased bulls should be routinely vaccinated twice a month apart on receival, unless you know the previous owner has an adequate vaccination program. The annual vaccination can be given at the same time as the annual drench. Vibriosis. Vibriosis is a venereal disease transmitted at service and causes early fetal death. Bulls should be vaccinated twice, 4 to 6 weeks apart, with the second vaccination 1 month before joining. A booster vaccination should be given each year. Body condition prior to mating. Pasture forms the basis of a bull's diet, with supplements given only to overcome deficiencies in pasture quality or quantity. The ideal condition for a bull prior to mating is condition score 3. Bulls in poor condition must be fed well before mating, and should be in good condition at least 2 months prior to mating. Semen is produced several weeks before it is used, so last-minute feeding to improve body condition may be too late. Overfat bulls, score 4 or 5, should be let down gradually, well before joining. Overfatness can interfere with the heat exchange function of the testicles, resulting in infertility. Overfat bulls also put more strain on their legs and spine, predisposing them to break down during joining. Measuring the bull's testicles. The size of bulls' testicles are in direct proportion to their semen production, so generally speaking, the larger the testicles, the more females he can potentially cover. There is good evidence to suggest that bulls with a scrotal circumference of less than 300 mm will have small quantities of poor quality semen, making them incapable of achieving normal reproductive rates. The general recommendation is to buy or keep only bulls with a scrotal circumference of 340 mm or better. Where heavy mating loads are practiced, a scrotal size of 360 mm or better is required. If you have access to a good cattle veterinarian, it can be worthwhile asking the vet to check the testicles for soundness. This involves checking the epididymis for blockage or damage, and at the same time the vet could test the bulls for service capacity. Service capacity yard test. The service capacity test is a yard test where bulls are given access to females for restricted periods and their capacity to cover those females is assessed. The number of services a bull achieves allows the vet to rate the bulls as either high, medium, or low serving capacity. The major advantages of this test are to eliminate bulls with penile abnormalities and structural problems. No libido. Suboptimal service capacity. Examining your bulls yearly. To get the best possible results each year, have your bulls examined annually and to check structural soundness for any signs of problems that may cause poor mobility. Effectively using your bulls. Join bulls of highest serving capacity to heifers because it is vital that heifers get in calf at their first joining. If they calve early in their first season, they tend to be early calvers for the rest of their lives. Cows that calve early will wean heavier calves on average than late calving cows. It is important to know the serving capacity of each bull. If bulls with a high serving capacity are used, the pregnancy rate of heifers at their first heat will be up to 40% higher than if bulls with low serving capacity were used, and up to 20% higher than if bulls with medium serving capacity were used. Bulls that are rated as sound for breeding and have a testicle circumference of 360 millimeters or better can be mated to 40 cows or more and get 95% or more in calf over a 9-week mating period. These results are achievable provided normal precautions are observed, particularly in the first 3 weeks of mating when the maximum mating load places the bulls under most stress. In multiple joining situations, run bulls of the same age together. In a group of mixed-age bulls, older bulls tend to dominate younger bulls in a mating situation. This can lead to reduced fertility and slower genetic improvement because most of the calves will be sired by the older bulls. It can also increase the likelihood of injury due to fighting. If your bulls have not been examined prior to joining for breeding soundness, and you are single bull joining, it is extremely important that regular checks are made throughout the joining period. Bulls that are well grown at 15 months of age can be used lightly over 15 to 20 females, usually heifers, provided there is no large disparity in height in favor of the females. Till the end of their lives, eagles are capable of mating with the same partner. Simple actions serve as courtship displays or renewal of bonding. These include the male picking rocks, dropping them, and catching them mid-air. The female does likewise with some clumps of soil. The couple also perches together and creates a nest. There's also the process of reproduction. But how do eagles mate? To mate, the male flies gracefully and lands on the female's back, using his wings to balance. He positions his cloaca under the female's tail, and she positions hers too. Sperm passes from the male to the female's cloaca into the oviduct for fertilization. This article will provide insights into how eagles mate, with facts about the reproduction and life cycle of these birds. How do eagles mate? Eagles generally reproduce through certain courtship behaviors such as circling the air, nesting, and mating where the male lands on the back of the female. Both cloaca touch and sperm flow from the male to the female. This is called the cloaca kiss. After a successful copulation, the female typically lays fertilized eggs after about 5 to 10 days. The courtship between an eagle pair is primarily displayed through two methods: the mating dance. Eagles set out to look for a mate when they mature sexually, usually around 4 to 5 years of age. They perform magnificent aerial exhibitions during mating seasons, soaring high in the air and locking talons and cartwheeling towards the ground, releasing their locks and flying apart just before hitting the ground. Eagles don't copulate in midair, as most people assumed. Rather, they mate on a tree branch or the ground. Once a mate is selected, mating takes place for life. Nesting. The male and the female eagle equally collect materials for building nests, although the female decides the outlook of the nest and designs the interior. They interweave nest-building materials like twigs and sticks on top of the tree. Bald eagle nests are enormous, with their shapes determined by the branch supporting them. Fun fact: St. Petersburg in Florida harbors is where the largest bald eagle's nest was found. The nest was almost 305 centimeters wide and 610 centimeters tall and weighed more than 2,000 kilograms. The average size of a bald eagle's nest lies between 152.4 to 274.3 centimeters in diameter, standing 61 to 122 centimeters tall. The eagle lines the nest with grass or moss to make it stable for holding eggs. How often do eagles mate? Eagles may mate throughout the year. Constant mating during the breeding season helps to facilitate bonding between the pair. Mating also increases the chance of laying fertile eggs. A female is fertile during the breeding season for a 3-2 weeks window period. The increase in daylight savings makes the female secrete a hormone that turns on the ova, and the male's sperm is viable inside the female for 10 days. It is common for the female to lay a clutch of 2 eggs, although she can lay up to 4. For about 40 days, she incubates the eggs by sitting on them to keep them warm. Incubation typically ranges from 30 to 50 days. Also, the male can incubate the egg, but hunting small mammals and feeding the female is common. Do eagles mate with one partner for life? Eagles are monogamous and typically mate with the same partners for life. However, when they lose their partner, they take up new partners and start a new bond within the same territory. This replacement can occur even within hours. Also, an intruding adult could fight a resident bird for a territory. Therefore, a pair is expected to migrate together, return to their nest, mate, and hatch their young. If a deviation from this is detected, a partner has likely been replaced. Females often make the choice of a partner. When she's ready to select, she prepares well for many males who would come for display. She does the scrutiny. If the flight display of one male impresses her, she picks a stick and flies high with it. Do eagles mate in the air? Male and female eagles have been observed to soar high in the air, locking their talons and cartwheeling downwards before letting go, occasionally, just eye-blinking moments before hitting the ground. Courtship displays happen in midair. However, this doesn't mean that eagles mate midair. Eagles mate while perched on trees, with cloacae touching and sperm transferred from the male to the female. What is the eagle's life cycle? When you look at those fuzzy puffs cuddled up in their nest, it is hard to believe that they will quickly grow and attain the form of their majestic parents. When an eagle egg hatches, a small cotton-like ball of fluff slowly comes forth. This adorable fuzzy creature depends on its doting parents for survival. However, with time, the white fluff transforms into brown feathers, and the bird tests its wings, soaring high and developing till it eventually becomes a splitting image of its parents. Here's how this tiny creature materializes into a majestic eagle. 1. Hatchlings. After the egg has cracked, it can take a while for the eaglet to emerge, called pipping. The order in which the female eagle lays eggs determines how the eggs hatch. The hatchling emerges covered in white fluff and depends on its parents for food. It weighs only about 85 grams. Both mother and father take turns in caring for their babies. At this stage, both parents can choose to stay in the nest. They feed the hatchlings about 4 times a day. 2. Nestling. For about 10 to 12 weeks, the eaglets remain as nestlings in the nest. That's how long it takes them to develop feathers and hunt independently. They practice flapping their wings as they develop. At about 5 weeks, brown feathers appear, with the white fluff completely gone. They are nearly fully feathered by the time they are about 9 weeks old. Their parents will continually feed them till they can feed themselves. Nestlings typically start to feed themselves when they are around 40 days old. As the nestlings get closer to the fledgling stage, the adults may withhold food to encourage them to leave the nest to find a meal. They usually don't need coaxing to leave the nest as they are eager to test their wings. 3. Fledglings. By 10 to 12 weeks of age, young bald eagles generally become ready to fledge. Young golden eagles typically fledge when they're around 10 weeks old. They start by soaring to a nearby tree, then gradually increase their distance as they become more confident with their flying abilities. For about a month or more, fledglings return to the nest, staying near their parents and learning how to hunt and harness their flying capability. They may continue to get food from their parents as long as the adults are willing to feed them. Provided the parents are still ready to feed it, the young bald eagle will continue to depend on its parents. Leaving the nest depends on how independent it feels to cater to itself. 4. Juveniles. Sometimes called a subadult, a juvenile is a young eagle without full adult plumage, typically in its first year. As much as it has left the nest to become independent, it still faces survival challenges, with a high tendency of not surviving the first winter. They usually migrate at this stage, though not necessarily. They need a territory big enough to support them and where there is plenty of prey. With each year, juvenile eagles grow closer to the classic adult plumage. Most birds have white head and tail feathers between their 4th and 5th year, although some never entirely lose the brown pattern. That's a sign the birds have reached sexual maturity and begun breeding. Frequently asked questions. Do eagles lay eggs every year? Eagles lay eggs every year in the event of successful mating. Partners usually produce a clutch of eggs during the season for nesting, and they may lay another clutch if they lose a clutch, specifically in the early season. Can eagles produce asexually? No, they can't. Eagles are birds, and birds reproduce sexually, having different sexes and the female's body supporting internal fertilization. Therefore, A male and a female eagle must mate before they can produce offspring. Do breeding eagles face any known threats? The major threat to breeding eagles is the loss of habitat. The same factors which attract eagles to a particular habitat can also attract humans. Such factors as food supply, clean water, and lush vegetation create stiff competition between eagles and humans and even between eagles. How long does the breeding cycle of an eagle last? An eagle's breeding cycle takes 10 to 11 months to complete. The cycle ranges from territory occupancy to defense to nest construction and repair, egg laying, incubation and fledging. Who incubates the egg? After the egg has been laid, it must be kept warm constantly or incubated and protected from predators. The male and the female eagle both incubate the egg, but the female typically incubates more than the male. The male has to provide food for the nesting female by hunting. However, the female is quite capable of hunting for herself while the male watches the eggs. It is fascinating how eagles grow from tiny, helpless creatures to magnificent birds capable of soaring high with graceful flights. Even more fascinating is that the life cycle of this bird was made possible by a simple cloacal kiss between two partners. It is, therefore, apparent that mating is necessary to facilitate this bird's flourishing.
Buckle up for a wild ride through the land down under, where kangaroos hop and love with equal fervor. Today, we dive into the hilarious and surprising world of kangaroo mating. Forget fancy footwork and smooth talk. In the kangaroo world, love means boxing. That's right, these muscular marsupials settle their differences and impress potential partners with fierce forelimb fights. Alright mate, ready for round one. Let's see who's got the best kangaroo foo. It's a brutal ballet of jabs and hooks, but it's all in the name of love. The strongest and most skilled kangaroo wins the right to mate, proving his fitness and dominance. With the boxing match settled, the real fun begins. The victorious male embarks on a tailtastic chase, hopping alongside the female and flicking his tail like a furry flagpole. Hey there, beautiful. Look at those impressive leaps. I'm the only kangaroo who can hop this high for your love. This playful chase allows the female to assess the male's stamina and agility, ensuring her offspring will inherit strong genes. After all the hopping and tail flicking, it's time for some tender moments. The pair nuzzle each other and share a few cuddles, proving even kangaroos have a soft side. But alas, the pouch party is short-lived. The female kangaroo has a joey to tend to, and she hops away, leaving the male to admire her from afar. After a gestation period of just over a month, a tiny, hairless joey emerges. This little miracle crawls into his mother's pouch, where he'll spend the next 6 months developing and growing. Life in the pouch is full of kangaroo cuddles and kangaroo milk. It's the ultimate VIP experience for a joey. So there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the hilarious and heartwarming world of kangaroo mating. It's a reminder that love can take many forms, even among these powerful and playful creatures. And next time you see a kangaroo, remember they're not just hopping machines with big feet. They're also passionate lovers in their own unique way, and devoted mothers.
Wow, so sad. Yeah, this is sexual harassment. After like maybe half an hour.
Stop it!
Then she'll be pregnant.
连什么都排队了，你看。
Ah, gone
Maybe
lah.
there's too little female and many males. 它很多大只的，很少小只的。 which of them?
Oh, seriously? I don't know. Why they all gather here?
Q 啊，
What the fuck?
Hey, animal enthusiasts. Buckle up for a wild ride through the land down under, where kangaroos hop and love with equal fervor. Today, we dive into the hilarious and surprising world of kangaroo mating. Forget fancy footwork and smooth talk. In the kangaroo world, love means boxing. That's right, these muscular marsupials settle their differences and impress potential partners with fierce forelimb fights. Alright mate, ready for round 1. Let's see who's got the best kangaroo foo. It's a brutal ballet of jabs and hooks, but it's all in the name of love. The strongest and most skilled kangaroo wins the right to mate, proving his fitness and dominance. With the boxing match settled, the real fun begins. The victorious male embarks on a tailtastic chase, hopping alongside the female and flicking his tail like a furry flagpole. Hey there, beautiful. Look at those impressive leaps. I'm the only kangaroo who can hop this high for your love. This playful chase allows the female to assess the male's stamina and agility, ensuring her offspring will inherit strong genes. After all the hopping and tail flicking, it's time for some tender moments. The pair nuzzle each other and share a few cuddles, proving even kangaroos have a soft side. But alas, the pouch party is short-lived. The female kangaroo has a joey to tend to, and she hops away, leaving the male to admire her from afar. After a gestation period of just over a month, a tiny, hairless joey emerges. This little miracle crawls into his mother's pouch, where he'll spend the next 6 months developing and growing. Life in the pouch is full of kangaroo cuddles and kangaroo milk. It's the ultimate VIP experience for a joey. So there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the hilarious and heartwarming world of kangaroo mating. It's a reminder that love can take many forms, even among these powerful and playful creatures. And next time you see a kangaroo, remember they're not just hopping machines with big feet. They're also passionate lovers in their own unique way, and devoted mothers.
TV channel. Dear friend, today we are going to discuss about unusual.
If you're new to dog breeding, you might be concerned the first time you see canines mate. They seem to have a hard time detaching from one another after they do the deed. Why do dogs get stuck while mating? It's called a copulatory tie, and don't worry, it's perfectly normal. Watch more to find out why it happens, what it means, and if you should intervene. Dogs get stuck together as the final step in their mating process. It's something that nearly all canines do, including wolves and foxes. During intercourse, a part of the male dog's penis called the bulbis glandis swells and prevents him from pulling out. Essentially, the pair are locked together until the swelling subsides. Unlike cats who are fertile every 21 days, dogs only come into heat twice a year. From an evolutionary perspective, the copulatory tie helps them make the most of every opportunity to produce offspring. Marty Greer, DVM, author of Canine Reproduction and Neonatology and co-owner of Veterinary Village in Lomira, Wisconsin, says, "It improves the likelihood that semen reaches the eggs by pushing it forward and acting as a plug to keep semen inside the female." How long do dogs stay stuck together after breeding? Dogs remain stuck together at the end stage of mating for 5 to 45 minutes, says Greer. The male dog dismounts and ends up rear to rear with the female. Dogs new to mating may experience a bit of anxiety at being locked together, but it's a natural process. Help your dog to remain calm and stand still until the two can safely separate. This will occur on its own once the male dog's arousal subsides. Does getting stuck mean the female dog is pregnant? The longer dogs are stuck together in a copulatory tie, the greater the chance that the semen will reach the eggs. But pregnancy in dogs is never guaranteed, Greer says. Just like in people, not every mating is successful. According to the American Kennel Club, A veterinarian can determine if your dog is pregnant with an exam or an ultrasound around 25 days after mating. You may also see signs of pregnancy about 3 weeks after mating, such as greater appetite and weight gain, swollen belly, larger and darker nipples, vomiting, and reduced appetite. If you're worried your dog has accidentally become pregnant, reach out to your veterinarian as early as possible to discuss options. Can neutered dogs still get stuck? It's rare, but not impossible for a neutered dog to get stuck when pairing up with a female. It's more likely if your dog is recently neutered. That's because he may still have higher testosterone levels than he will later on, says Greer. Testosterone increases a dog's sex drive and affects the swelling of the bulbous glandes. However, even with less of the hormone, your dog can still become aroused, have intercourse, and end with a copulatory tie. What to do when dogs get stuck while mating? You might be tempted to try to separate dogs when they're stuck in a copulatory tie during mating. But hold up, pulling dogs apart can seriously injure them, and doing so won't stop a pregnancy from occurring. Instead, encourage your dog to remain calm. Although watching dogs in this awkward position may be agonizing for you, it's simply a part of canine mating. To prevent unwanted pregnancies, keep male dogs away from fertile female dogs so mating doesn't take place. A female is potentially fertile 4 weeks after the start of her heat cycle. Notes Greer. When the bloody discharge dissipates, that's when she's most fertile. But do remember that keeping a male dog from a female that's in heat can be difficult, very difficult sometimes. Dogs on the scent of a mating-ready female have been known to knock down people and break through doors and crates. The only foolproof way of avoiding pregnancy is to spay or neuter your dog. Seeing your dog stuck during mating may be hard to watch, but it's not harmful. In fact, if you're looking to breed your pooch, a copulatory tie is a positive sign, one that might mean that some furry bundles of joy are on the way soon.
Welcome, fellow animal enthusiasts, to the jungle gym of chimpanzee love. Today, we're venturing into the surprisingly unromantic world of chimpanzee mating, where things are more about power plays and quick encounters than candlelit dinners and rose petals. Before we swing into action, give this video a like below if you're ready for some laughs and unexpected facts about ape love. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button to join our troop of animal lovers. Forget Tinder and Bumble, chimps rely on their sense of smell to find a mate. The stronger the scent, the more desirable the chimp. It's like a natural cologne for these hairy jungle dwellers. Hey there, beautiful. I smell like the freshest bamboo leaves. Come sniff me. Yes, you heard right. Chimps use their powerful sense of smell to assess potential partners, and males, who are higher in dominance, often have the most potent aroma. But attracting attention isn't enough. Once a male has caught a female's eye or nose, it's time for the great bamboo grab. These chimps aren't afraid to get physical, using their powerful claws to grab each other's branches and initiate the mating ritual. It's a battle for dominance. Only the strongest chimp will win the right to mate. This playful, and sometimes aggressive, interaction helps the chimps assess their compatibility and determine if they're a good match. And now for the grand finale, the chimpanzee mating ritual. Brace yourselves, folks, because it's not a scene from a romance novel. It's more like a quick peck on the cheek, and they're on their way. No need for lengthy serenades or romantic walks on the beach. Chimps get down to business and move on. This quick and efficient approach to mating helps avoid unnecessary competition and allows females to choose the most dominant and desirable males to father their offspring. After a gestation period of about 8 months, the mama chimp gives birth to a single infant. This tiny, pink chimp clings to its mother's back for the next few years, learning everything it needs to know about life in the jungle. And so, the cycle of life continues for chimpanzees. From the bamboo-scented pursuits and playful grabs to the birth of a new chimp, it's a story of resilience, family, and the power of the jungle. So there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the hilarious and fascinating world of chimpanzee mating. It's a reminder that love can take many forms, even in the most unexpected places. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more wild animal adventures. And now, let's swing into another fascinating topic in our next video. Click the link on your screen to join me.
To the wild and wacky world of toad mating. Forget butterflies and roses, these guys do things a little differently. Get ready for a hilarious and slightly slimy journey as we uncover the secrets of toad love. Imagine this, it's a balmy summer night, the air thick with humidity, and the swamp is alive with the symphony of croaking toads. But these aren't just serenades, they're battle cries. These guys are vying for the attention of the ladies, and things can get pretty intense. Hey ladies, come check out my booming voice. I'm the hottest toad in the swamp, no question. These guys are like the opera singers of the amphibian world. They puff out their vocal sacs, which are basically their built-in microphones, and belt out their best tunes. The louder and more complex their song, the more attractive they are to females. Now, the ladies aren't just falling for the best singers. They're also looking for strong and healthy mates. So, the male toads engage in a wrestling match worthy of the WWE. They climb on top of each other, push and shove, all vying for the right to mate. It's a toad-owl free-for-all. Only the strongest and most persistent will emerge victorious. After all that drama, the winning male gets to claim his prize. He grabs onto the female's back in a special embrace called amplexus. This is where things get a little weird. Imagine giving your girlfriend a piggyback ride, but instead of sitting comfortably, she smothers you with her entire body. That's basically amplexus for toads. But don't worry, ladies, it's all consensual. The female releases her eggs, the male fertilizes them, and voila. You have a new generation of tadpoles ready to conquer the swamp. So there you have it, folks. The not-so-secret world of toad mating. It's a wild ride filled with croaking, wrestling, and a whole lot of, amphibious affection. And next time you see a toad, remember, they might look small and slimy, but they know how to have a good time.
How do chickens mate? All you need to know. Cockerels dancing and chasing the girls around the yard are a sure sign that the warmer months are here. When the chickens mate, the games begin. Baby chicks are on the horizon. Although some of the antics that go on may seem amusing to us, mating is a severe occupation for your chickens. Only the strong would survive in the wild. This instinct drives so many behaviors. So, what exactly is involved in getting that egg fertilized? It's more complicated and devious than you might think. Sit back and delve into romancing the hen. Let's start with common rooster and hen mating behaviors before looking at the actual mechanics of mating. Chickens mate. Rooster behavior. Roosters think about mating just about all year round. It's their job. They have to carry on the breed, so he must have as many chicks from his ladies as possible to continue the flock. The behaviors associated with mating and breeding really ramp up in the springtime, and you will see courtship behaviors much more frequently than in the cooler months. He will become very attentive to the girls, tidbitting them to get them interested in what he has to offer in the way of food. Tidbitting involves finding a special tasty morsel for the chosen hen. Then, he will call her over, indicating the special treat by bobbing his head, pecking at the treat, and clucking much like a mother hen. This behavior may not lead directly to mating at the time, but the hen will remember his attentiveness. He is creating an impression. Any other roosters that hang around in the hope of enticing some hens will be chased off, and if necessary, chest bumping and fighting may ensue. Usually, the submissive rooster will back off and run away to fight another day. The dominant roo will do everything he can to prevent the secondary males from mating with his flock. But at around 3 years old, a rooster starts to feel his age and may be challenged by younger and stronger birds. The secondary boys will resort to all sorts of tricks to lure a female into a tryst. Tidbitting, however, is by far the favorite and seems to work well. Another trick is the rooster dance. The rooster dance entails dropping one wing to the ground and shuffling around the hen he selected to mate with. The wing facing the hen will be dropped to the ground while he dances around her, showing his interest. After reaching the rear of the hen, he will try to hop aboard to mate with her. Some roosters don't bother with the whole courtship thing and get straight down to business. Once on top of the hen, he will begin treading. This helps him find his balance. He will also grab her comb or head and neck feathers to steady himself further. Don't be alarmed at the appearance of the mating process. In most cases, it looks more violent than it is. It's an awkward-looking procedure because it appears as though the hen is getting attacked by the rooster. In most cases, the rooster is gentle enough for the hen to tolerate the breeding ritual's roughness. But now and then, there's an aggressive rooster who injures the hen. Keep an eye on this fella, and make sure your hens don't get beat up by him over time. Chickens mate and hen behavior. When the springtime rolls around, the hen's hormones go into top gear. In nature, this means the associated behaviors of finding a suitable mate, nest making, laying, and sitting on her eggs until they hatch. In many hen breeds, this instinct has almost been bred out of them, so they don't waste time and energy in being broody. However, there are still many good breeds that will happily turn broody during the summer months. Also, it's worth mentioning here that not all hens run true to their expected broodiness. Rhode Island Reds are not renowned for broodiness, but this is the second year that I have had 2 of them as mothers, and they do a fine job. The first part of mating is finding a suitable male. If there is only one rooster for the flock, then he is a lucky boy. However, if there are more than a couple of roosters, then the mating game can get devious and nasty on occasion. However, the females aren't easily fooled. Research has shown that hens can compare roosters. Who has the best comb and shiniest feathers? She will choose to mate with the fellow that fits the specifications she has in mind. Apparently, a bright red comb and wattles really do it for the girls. The hens also judge the suitor's ability to find food, care for the flock, and treat the hens well. Therefore, hens may express a preference for mates based on not only their looks but abilities. Hens are fickle on occasion, accepting food and tidbits from any rooster but will not necessarily mate with any of them. Although one rooster may be the alpha male, if a hen does not like him, she will not be compliant with the mating ritual and may never mate with him at all. If she is compliant with mating, she will squat or crouch, dropping her head and body lower and spreading her wings slightly to indicate receptiveness. You can see this behavior sometimes. For example, if you reach out to touch a hen, she will squat for you. Once the hen is sitting on her eggs, she will lose all interest in mating and chase off the rooster if he advances to her. This behavior will continue until she releases her brood, anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks on average. After that, the rooster's advances will not be welcome, and she will let him know in no uncertain way. Our backyard hens are spoiled in that they already have nesting spots available, ready-made and safe. So, although taking over the nest box may not be what you desire, it's best to leave her there until she has hatched the chicks, then move them. If you can move them to a broody box once they have hatched, she is unlikely to desert them. In addition, a broody box will ensure they aren't trampled in the coop or attacked by the other hens. It also ensures they receive the correct protein intake for growth and development. The mechanics when chickens mate. Once the rooster has hopped aboard and has himself well situated, he will dip his tail down and to the side of the hen's tail and deliver a cloacal kiss. Once the mating is done, He will usually move away while she shakes her feathers out and resumes normal business. So, what is a cloacal kiss, I hear you ask? A rooster doesn't have a penis, just a tiny bump called a papilla inside his cloaca. It is via this papilla that the sperm is delivered to the hen. A rooster may mate between 10 to 30 times per day, depending on his ability and enthusiasm. His sperm load is greater in the morning when he can deliver anywhere between 100 million, 5 billion sperm. That's an awful lot of little swimmers, but the mechanics of getting the sperm into the hen's cloaca are tricky. At the same time that the rooster delivers the sperm in the kiss, she must avert her cloaca/vents so that the sperm are directed up to the waiting eggs. Once inside the oviduct, the sperm will go on to fertilize the egg of the day. Sperm will also be collected in sperm pockets located within the walls of the oviduct. This stored sperm is viable for 4 to 5 days and is quite capable of fertilizing successive eggs. Common problems when chickens mate. Sometimes roosters can be a little rough on the ladies. However, the usual array of damage is thankfully minor, such as feather loss and breakage. Loss of feathers and red, irritated bald spots are a good indication that the hen is a favorite. Often, she will have a small bald area on the top of her head just behind the comb. This is where he will grab her feathers in his beak. The area that usually suffers the worst is the back, where his claws can rake over the feathers and skin, sometimes causing skin abrasions. Usually, these are fairly superficial and can be easily treated, but sometimes his claws can do significant damage to the skin, ripping it open and causing problems. I use a salve containing comfrey and plantain to soothe and heal reddened areas, but if there are open areas, the skin should be treated with antibiotic ointment as needed. If you notice your hens starting to get a little ragged over their backs, you can fit them with a saddle. These items certainly do save the hen some wear and tear on her exposed skin. A saddle is simply a barrier between the feathers and the rooster's talons. It is fitted under the wings to keep it in place. It certainly cuts down on damage to the hen's back from overly amorous roosters. The skin under the saddle should be checked and treated daily. It does get hot and moist under the saddle, a perfect environment for bacteria, lice, and mites to thrive in. If the damage is more severe with open wounds and bleeding, you will have to remove the hen from the flock for a while and treat the wounds with soap, water, and antibiotic ointment. Deeper wounds may need to be stitched, and in these cases, you should consult your veterinarian. If you cannot afford a vet, you can sometimes get the wound to close together using butterfly-type band-aids. Be very diligent about checking the wound for infection. With a rooster causing these types of injury on several hens, it may be best to lock him up until the girls heal. Then, when he is released, monitor his behavior. If he is consistently rough and causing damage, it might be time to think about another rooster. When chickens mate, there can be rooster attacks. Occasionally, if there are competing roosters, there may be some significant wounds inflicted among them. Combs can be ripped and will bleed profusely. You will need to catch and treat the victim. Usually, the pressure applied to the comb will stop the bleeding after several minutes. Using a small pad or tissue, pinch the damaged comb between your fingers firmly. You can also apply styptic powder to slow down the bleeding. Some folks use baking powder or cornstarch to do this. The damaged rooster will need to be separated until the damage has healed. Rooster attacks can happen during the mating process. This is rare but has been known to happen. Most often this happens when there aren't enough hens for the number of roosters in the flock. Most roosters are happy to share the same space if they each have enough hens of their own. The dynamics of dual flock farms can be challenging, especially during the spring, when breeding is at an all-time high. You'll see some roosters try to steal hens from a neighboring flock by doing his rooster dance and shuffling her around toward his current flock. With that being said, hens are pretty attached and loyal to their chosen rooster. Hens rarely change roosters. Fertilizing eggs. Another problem with mating that can occur is actually getting your chicken's eggs fertilized. Some of the fluffier breeds, such as Wyandottes and Orpingtons, can have difficulty collecting the sperm because of all that fluff. One quick and simple solution is to trim away much of the bump fluff so her cloaca is more accessible to the male. It doesn't look stunning, and if she's a show bird, she won't be on the stage anytime soon. But if you want baby chicks, this is the easy way to go. Summary on when chickens mate. As you can see, the trials and tribulations of barnyard mating are similar to the problems we all had as teenagers. Generally, the whole process goes smoothly without any interference from a keeper, but now and then, an overly amorous rooster can damage hens quite badly. Usually, it's the younger roosters and due to inexperience on their part. Some roosters will actually take a turn at sitting on the eggs while mama takes a bath and snack. But of course, he will still guard and care for the rest of his girls. If you have such a rooster, keep him. Good roosters are hard to find. Do you have any rooster tales that you would like to share with us? Let us know in the comments below. You know we love to hear from you.
Throughout the continent, hawks are sharp-eyed birds of prey with a distinctive scream. That iconic call of the bald eagle in movies is actually the screech of a red-tailed hawk, used in cinema for its dramatic effect. Hawks engage in a fascinating courtship display involving soaring flight that leads to free fall. Once these courtship rituals begin, hawk mating season is underway. When is hawk mating season? Hawk mating season occurs once per year during the spring. This typically occurs during late February through May, however it can vary by location and occur earlier in the southern parts of their region and later in the north. The keeping of any trained captive birds of prey is called falconry, which used to be called hawking. Any of the birds of prey in falconry can be called hawks. Hawk is actually a common name loosely applied to birds of prey in different ways throughout the world. The red-tailed hawk is a member of the Buteo genus, and not a true hawk of the Accipiter genus. In North America, they are considered hawks and are the most common hawk and the most commonly observed raptor throughout their range. In this article, we'll explore the breeding season for red-tailed hawks and also consider the factors specific to other hawk species. Do hawks mate for life? Hawks are monogamous, meaning that they breed with one partner during a mating season. Many hawks mate for life if conditions allow for it, and red-tailed hawks are no exception. They're known to choose one partner and often remain paired throughout their lives. Hawks are generally solitary animals who only link up during breeding season. If they cannot find their mate for some reason, or one of the pairs dies, the remaining hawk will likely find a new mate. Although monogamy is the typical pattern for red-tailed hawks, it isn't the case for all hawk species, and a journal article in the Condor presents an example of 3 red-tailed hawks tending to one nest. The high-circling, aerial flights that occur during hawk mating season are rituals of courtship meant to strengthen existing bonds or to develop new ones. If you are lucky enough to observe this breathtaking display in action, you might notice the outspread wings of the pair in flight. During this mating ritual, they may be soaring high in tightening circles toward one another. The female may begin a pattern of undulating flight in which they will barrel roll away from the other and then fold wings into a dive, before opening into an ascent. The male might circle higher before diving down to meet their mate, who may roll over and display talons, facing the diver as he passes. Intricate patterns of rolls and light caresses of feathers in flight will lead to gripping each other's talons and free-falling through the air. Suddenly, they'll let go and spread their wings to soar apart and out of sight. Once paired, hawks will either build a new nest, or if their old one is still considered safe, they'll return to it and revamp it for the season. These nests are built over a period of 4 to 7 days out of 2 to 3 foot long branches arranged in tall piles that average 6.5 feet tall and 3 feet wide. The interior is lined with strips of bark, dry vegetation, and fresh leaves. Both partners participate in constructing the nest. They're secretive, and if disturbed during this process, they may abandon the site in favor of a more private location. Although it varies by location, nests are typically built up high in the crown of trees with an excellent view of the surrounding landscape below. In forests, they might nest near the tops of trees close to their trunks. In some areas they may choose to nest on cliffs or take advantage of man-made structures like power line towers and window ledges. Red-tailed hawks lay 1 to 5 dull white to bluish-white eggs that are often irregularly spotted. These have an incubation period of 28 to 35 days. While the female does most of the work of incubating the eggs, the male will feed her. The female does much of the work caring for the young nestlings once they've hatched. Both parents may bring food back to the nest, but the female is normally the one to feed them. The young hawks fled at 44 to 46 days old. The parents will continue to provide food for their fledglings for 4 to 7 weeks. The young start to grow their flight capabilities and hunt on their own but may remain with their parents for up to 6 months. Fish can be taken by several different methods: end tank spawning, end hand stripping, and end surgically removing the eggs. The method of choice depends on the fish species, hatchery facilities, experience and skill of the hatch, airy staff, and the desired manipulations of eggs, sperm or fertilized eggs. Taking the eggs. Ovulation is the final phase of nor-mal egg development. The time between the final or resolving dose of hormone and ovulation is referred to as the latency period. This is usually dependent on the species of fish, water temperature, and hormone preparation used. It is especially important to know the latency period when hand stripping or surgically removing the eggs. Check the literature for the latency period for the fish species you are spawning. Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, University of Florida. During ovulation, the connection between the female fish and the eggs in the ovary is eliminated. In warm water fishes, egg quality can deteriorate rapidly if eggs are not taken shortly after ovulation. They become overripe and can no longer be fertilized. In general, the eggs of tropical and subtropical species of fish become overripe more quickly than those that spawn at cooler water temperatures. The eggs of cold water species remain viable for several days after ovulation. Table 1 presents the reported maximum period between ovulation and the deterioration of egg quality for some species of fish commonly spawned by hormone injection. Tank spawning. Tank spawning is the simplest method for obtaining a hatchery spawn. Brood fish of both sexes are placed together in the spawn tank following injections. Brood fish should not be disturbed and subdued lighting is recommended. The female ovulates when she is physiologically ready. The males stimulate the female to release the eggs and fertilize the spawn. Better fertilization occurs if males are accustomed to the tank and have been injected with a preparatory dose of hormone several days prior to and again at the same time as the female. Males can be used for several tank spawns, week after week, until their milt flow diminishes. Unless the males are aggressive toward each other, it is advisable to put 2 or 3 males for each female in a tank to ensure fertilization. If the spawning tank is of sufficient size, more than one female may be spawned in the same tank. The presence of other individuals may help stimulate fish that are mass spawners. However, too many breeders in a small tank might be disruptive to the spawn process. A round tank is advantageous for species with non-sticky, floating or semi-buoyant eggs that spawn in a river or estuary. The circular flow simulates the current in which these fish naturally spawn. The vigorous swimming action of the female in the swift water current is believed to assist in emptying the ovaries. The eggs are carried with the drain water from the spawning tank to a screened collector, Figure 1. Eggs are then transferred to an incubator. Nest breeders and substrate spawners can also be tank spawned if suitable nesting sites or spawning material are provided. When tank spawning species that scatter sticky eggs, it is advisable to place spawning mats or brushes on the bottom of the tank. The eggs will attach to the substrate. Brood fish are removed from the tank after spawning, unless they provide parental care to the eggs. Fertilized eggs are ally incubated in the spawning tank. The African continent, and though each has similar breeding behavior, their social structures differ markedly. Most cluster into herds of monogamous females and a single, protective male, but grevy's zebras live separate lives when not mating. Their courtship and mating behaviors roughly parallel those of horses, which are also members of the family equity. Social structure. The various zebra species exhibit differing social structures. Plains, Equus burchellii, and mountain zebras, Equus zebra species, form groups, called harems, composed of a single, protective male, several females and their young. Sometimes, plains zebra harems combine with others to produce enormous herds, containing thousands of animals. By contrast, male and female grevy's zebras, Equus grevii, live apart until environmental conditions are favorable, and food and water are plentiful. Once the conditions are adequate, they come together to mate. Male grevy's zebras mark their territories by depositing urine and dung along the periphery and through vocalizations, a behavior called braying. While female grevy's zebras are polyandrous and may breed with many different males in succession, most other females are monogamous and bond with a specific male. Adjustments to aridity. Zebras are well adapted to their arid habitat, most can go as long as 5 days without water. However, while females are lactating, they need water more frequently, as often as every other day. Bachelor males and lactating females preferentially seek out greener pastures with younger grass growth. During such times, zebras may use their hooves to dig for water. If they are successful, they will defend such resources. Male grevy's zebras may establish territories that lie along paths to water or other such resources. Often, they will intercept and breed receptive females as they pass through. Courtship, receptivity, and mating. The female's estrus cycle lasts about 5 days, during which they are receptive to mating for about 2 or 3 days. When ready to mate, the female arches her back, raises her hindquarters and moves her tail to the side. As with all equids, facial expressions form an important part of interspecies communication, and the females will flatten their ears and open their mouths when receptive. Males often bare their teeth during the mating process, which may serve to intimidate the female or other males. Male grevy's zebras often mate with females repeatedly, as often as every hour, to ensure successful fertilization. Timing of parturition. Although the various species exhibit small variations in reproductive timing, most females are pregnant for 12 to 13 months. Female zebras typically give birth to one offspring at a time. Most females keep their newborn young, termed a foal, sequestered for a few days while they get to know their mother's scent, enabling them to recognize her. The young stay with their mother for approximately 2 to 3 years. AI is widely used to overcome low fertility in commercial turkeys, which results from unsuccessful mating as a consequence of large, heavily muscled birds being unable to physically complete the mating process. This is a serious and costly problem in the production of commercial turkey hatching eggs. In most commercial chicken production systems in the USA, it has not been necessary to implement AI programs because natural mating results in adequate fertility levels, but AI is routinely used in special breeding work for research purposes. Certainly, the use of artificial insemination in chickens, as in turkeys, can improve fertility. However, the cost of implementing AI on a large scale is often cost prohibitive. However, as managing commercial broiler breeders to maximize fertility becomes more challenging, the use of AI in commercial poultry operations outside the USA is becoming more common and will likely continue. As the cost of artificial insemination becomes more economically favorable, its commercial implementation will increase. Collecting semen from a chicken or turkey is done by stimulating the copulatory organ, the phallus, to protrude by massaging the abdomen and the back over the testes. This is followed quickly by pushing the tail anteriorly with one hand and, at the same time, using the thumb and forefinger of the same hand to apply pressure in the cloacal area to milk semen from the ducts of the phallus. The semen flow response is quicker and easier to stimulate in chickens than in turkeys. The semen may be collected with an aspirator, turkeys, or in a small tube or any cup-like container. In turkeys, the seminal fluid volume averages 0.35–0.5 ml, with a spermatozoon concentration of 6 to 8 billion/ml. In chickens, the volume is 1 to 2 times more than that of turkeys, but the concentration is about 1/2 as that from turkeys. Collected semen is usually pooled and diluted with an extender before use. Chicken and turkey semen begins to lose fertilizing ability when stored for longer than 1 hour. Liquid cold, 4 degrees Celsius, storage of turkey and chicken semen can be used to transport semen and maintain spermatozoal viability for 6-12 hours. This short-term storage of semen is common in turkeys but not as common in chickens. When using liquid cold storage for greater than 1 hour, turkey semen must be diluted with a semen extender at least 1:1 and then agitated slowly, 150 rpm, to facilitate oxygenation. Chicken semen should be diluted and then cooled. Agitation is not necessary. Chicken and turkey semen may be frozen, but reduced fertility limits usage to special breeding projects. Under experimental conditions, fertility levels greater than 90% are common in hens inseminated at 3-day intervals with 400 to 500 million frozen thawed chicken spermatozoa. Several commercial semen extenders are available and are routinely used, particularly for turkeys. Extenders enable more precise control over inseminating dose and facilitate filling of insemination tubes. Results may be comparable to those using undiluted semen when product directions are followed. Dilution should result in an insemination dose containing 300 million viable spermatozoa for turkeys. However, the necessary number of spermatozoa inseminated will range from 150 to 300 million viable cells depending on the age of the turkey hens inseminated. In chickens, the number of diluted semen inseminated will range from 100 to 200 million sperm cells per insemination. Producers usually determine the spermatozoa concentration and dilute the semen to obtain the appropriate sperm cell concentration for either the turkey or chicken. For insemination, when holding the hen upright, pressure is applied to the abdomen around the vent, particularly on the left side. This causes the cloaca to evert and the oviduct to protrude, so that a syringe or plastic straw can be inserted 2.5 centimeters into the oviduct and the appropriate amount of semen delivered. As the semen is expelled by the inseminator, pressure around the vent is released, which assists the hen in retaining sperm in the vagina or oviduct. When inseminating undiluted turkey semen, the high sperm cell concentration allows for 0.025 milliliters, 2 billion spermatozoa, to be inseminated at regular intervals of 7 to 10 days, yielding optimal fertility. In chickens, because of the lower spermatozoon concentration and shorter duration of fertility, 0.05 milliliters of undiluted pooled semen, at intervals of 7 days, is required. The hen's squatting behavior indicates receptivity and the time for the first insemination. For maximal fertility, inseminations may be started before the initial oviposition in turkeys, whereas this is not necessary in chickens. Fertility tends to decrease later in the season, therefore, it may be justified to inseminate more frequently or use more cells per insemination dose as hens age. Boars who want to mate mark trees with their urine. They also produce foamy saliva by champing. Champing involves gnashing teeth and chewing, resulting in saliva that contains the male sex hormone pheromone androstenol. The urine and saliva notify the females of his intention to mate. The courtship. Pigs enjoy touching each other and make nuzzling a part of their courtship. During courtship, the boar may nudge and nuzzle the sow's flank, head, genital area, and shoulders, showering her with his attention. The sow and boar sing to each other as they nuzzle and chase each other. He may begin to push her to see if she is ready to stand. The mount. When the boar has successfully wooed the sow who is in heat, she will stand still and allow him to mount her. He will jump up and place his front legs on her back. He may need to scoot sideways to get directly behind her into mating position. His front legs hold on to the sow just in front of her hips once he is in position. The wait. Boars can take up to 30 minutes to ejaculate. During this time, the boar remains mounted on the sow, occasionally thrusting. She may graze and take occasional steps forward until he is finished and slides or jumps off.
And explore the blubbery world of walrus love. Buckle up, folks, because this is one aquatic adventure you won't forget. Picture this: a bustling beach filled with hundreds of walruses, all basking in the Arctic sun. But this isn't just a sunbathing party, it's mating season. The males are putting on a show, flapping their flippers, puffing out their chests, and singing their hearts out. Hey ladies, check out these impressive flippers. I'm the smoothest singer this side of the Arctic. These vocalizations are more than just a catchy tune. They're a way for males to attract females and establish dominance. The louder and more complex the song, the more attractive the male. But it's not all singing and dancing. When two males are vying for the same lady, things can get rough. They'll clash their tusks, shove each other with their massive bodies, and basically turn the beach into a blubbery wrestling match. It's a battle of epic proportions. Only the strongest walrus will claim the prize. This fight isn't just about bragging rights, it's about survival. The winner gets to mate and pass on his genes, ensuring the continuation of his lineage. Once a male has won the fight and impressed the female, it's time for the main event. They'll retreat to the water and engage in a unique mating embrace called emplexus. The male will climb on top of the female and hold on for dear life, ensuring successful fertilization. Don't worry, ladies, it's all consensual. The female is actively involved in the process and can choose to leave if she's not feeling it. After a gestation period of about 15 months, the female walrus gives birth to a single calf. The calf is born with a thick layer of blubber to keep it warm in the icy waters and starts nursing immediately. And so, the cycle of life continues for walruses. From the playful vocalizations and the fierce battles to the underwater embrace and the arrival of a new calf, it's a journey filled with both humor and wonder. So there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the hilarious, fascinating, and sometimes blubbery world of walrus mating. It's a reminder that love can bloom even in the most unexpected places, even among these giant tusked creatures of the Arctic. And next time you see a walrus, remember there's more to them than meets the eye. They might be big and blubbery, but they're also capable of fierce competition, passionate love, and nurturing care for their young.
Actually mature at roughly the same ages that humans do, but unlike humans, their communities are arranged in strict male hierarchies in which all females are subservient to all males, and males compete, sometimes violently, for female sexual partners. Chimpanzees mate year-round. Males often commit violence against females or infant chimps in acts of sexual coercion. The common chimpanzee, Pan troglodytes, and its close relative, the bonobo, Pan paniscus, are the closest relatives to Homo sapiens alive today. Like humans and other primates, chimps are social animals, forming relatively stable but fluid communities, with males, females, adults, and adolescents living in close proximity over extended periods. Compared with their human counterparts, female chimps tend to be more promiscuous and go longer between births. Both male and female chimps employ a greater variety of reproductive strategies than humans do. Sexual maturation and fertility. Chimpanzees are a type of ape, which is a different kind of primate than a monkey. Chimpanzees reach puberty at roughly the same age as humans do. Male chimps become sexually mature between about 9 and 15-year-old, while females experience their first menstrual periods at about the age of 10, with a menstrual cycle of about 36 days. Anogenital swelling in females signals their encroaching fertility. In contrast to chimps, the monkey life cycle can be shorter. The female rhesus monkey, for example, reaches sexual maturity in 2.5 to 4 years, and the male rhesus monkey reaches sexual maturity in 4.5 to 7 years. In contrast to humans, female chimps remain infertile for about 2 to 4 years after their first menstrual cycle, although they copulate with aplomb during this time. This latent period is probably an adaptation to ensure safety, as females have typically migrated to a new community at around this time. Hierarchies and competition. The males in chimpanzee communities are organized in a more or less linear manner from top to bottom, with an alpha male at the top. The alpha male is usually between the age of 20 and 26 and possesses unusual intelligence and physical prowess. Females have their own, somewhat more fluid hierarchy, and all females are subservient to all males. The males routinely patrol their community's boundaries and will ferociously attack male interlopers from other communities they encounter there. A female considered particularly sexually appealing usually attracts a following of multiple males, and the alpha among them sometimes tries to bar others from mating with her until he can take his own turn. Adolescent females can move around among various chimpanzee communities. Chimpanzee mating patterns. As in humans, there is no particular time of year in which female chimpanzees are more fertile or in estrus. That said, within a community, a higher fraction of females are in estrus when the food supply is most abundant. Both ape and monkey mating habits include the tendency to have sex for pleasure, even when reproduction is not possible because the female is not in estrus. It is a common myth that other than humans, only dolphins mate for pleasure, but in fact, orgasm has been observed in most or all primate species, as well as countless mammals and other animal species. Female chimps will mate with a multitude of males when they are at peak fertility unless prevented from doing so by a dominant male. In fact, alpha males may even prevent other males from mating with females that he is not interested in. Chimps also manifest consortship mating, in which a male and his female sexual partner leave a community for days to weeks, as well as extragroup mating, wherein females covertly mate with males outside the community. Sexual coercion in chimpanzee mating. Male chimpanzees, like other male mammals, exhibit patterns of behavior toward females that disarm females' resistance to mating. These behaviors may include physical force and would be described in human terms as sexual assault or rape, or they may be more indirect, as when males engage in activities that partition females from other males. An example of direct sexual coercion is a male physically keeping an ovulating female to himself, which limits sperm competition. An example of indirect form of sexual coercion is a male killing infant babies that he believes are not his own. This may be an effort to spur the mother into becoming fertile again so that he can mate with her. Female chimpanzees also kill the babies of other chimp mothers. $150 million years based off fossil records. They have been on Earth before trees. One could say that they are a living fossil. The shark population is dwindling and the need to conserve these animals has never been greater than it is now. Understanding how sharks mate is key to conserving these beautiful creatures. Of the over 500 species of sharks, each of them has their own distinctive way of mating. Some sharks swim long distances to find a suitable mate, some perform dances, several lays eggs, while others give live birth. In this blog, we'll be exploring sharks' mating habits, their rituals, fertilization, and reproduction. What is the mating process of sharks? Little is known about sharks and their mating habits. Of the over 500 species, research and observations have only been collected on around 10 species. The frequency at which sharks mate varies between species. Most species typically give birth 11 to 12 months after fertilization. Other species such as basking sharks have a gestation period of 3 years. Sharks travel long distances to hunt and mate. Great white sharks and whale sharks can travel thousands of miles. Most sharks will choose shallow water or estuaries to mate and lay eggs, away from feeding areas. When the female is ready to mate, she will give off a chemical that alerts the male sharks. Now that the male is aware of the female's interest to mate, he will need to get her attention. Some sharks perform dances and some sharks, such as the great white, show their strength. A common practice is the male biting the female. These bites are not the same as an attack and tend to be gentler. It is common to see bite wounds or marks on females after mating, and it is for this reason that some female sharks' skin is thicker than male sharks. After the male has the female's attention, the female may display rejection behavior by swimming away and/or blocking the male shark. All sharks reproduce via internal fertilization, which means both the male and female are required to come together for the male to inject his sperm via his clasper into the female's cloaca. The male has 2 claspers located on their sides of their lower backs which hold the sperm. The female's cloaca is located between the pelvic fins. Once the mating has begun, the shark will mount the female, either underneath or beside her. The male shark will typically bite the female for grip, which can be a challenging process resulting in both sharks getting injured. After the embryo has been fertilized, the male will release the female and they will swim away from each other. There are 4 forms of reproduction in sharks. The first is viviparity, where the eggs are hatched inside the uterus and fed via a placenta. The second is oviparity, where the female will drop her eggs in the sea, where they will hatch. The third is ovoviviparous, which is like viviparity, however there is no placenta. The pups survive off eating unfertilized eggs. Lastly, there is asexual reproduction, which has only been recorded in captivity where a hammerhead shark reproduced without a male. Understanding how sharks mate is vital to protecting them. From what we know, sharks tend to have small litters, with some species only giving birth to 1 pup at a time. Knowing the age that sharks reach sexual maturity as well as their gestation periods are key to conserving and protecting them.
Mating TV. Today, we're getting a little closer to home and taking a peek at, wait for it, human mating. Don't worry, folks, we'll keep things PG-13. Buckle up because we're about to answer the question, how do humans fall in love and make families? It all starts with finding your special someone. Imagine this, 2 humans meet at the park, maybe walking their dogs or enjoying a picnic. They chat, laugh, and discover amazing things about each other. Like, did you know humans can learn each other's favorite movie quotes? That's pretty neat. Over time, feelings blossom like a beautiful flower. Humans call this falling in love, and it feels like butterflies doing tap dance in your tummy. But don't worry, no actual butterflies get hurt. Once 2 humans decide they're a perfect match, they might build a family. That means working together, playing games, and sharing big hugs. Human families come in all shapes and sizes, just like snowflakes. Some have 2 moms, some have 2 dads, and some have a whole bunch of siblings bouncing around the house. But how does a new family member join the crew? Well, this is where science steps in. Inside each human are tiny building blocks called genes, and when a special kind of handshake happens between a mommy and daddy, those genes mix and match to create a brand new little human. It's like building a Lego castle, but way more amazing. This tiny human grows inside the mommy for 9 months, like a cozy apartment with snacks and lullabies. And then, voila, a bouncing baby arrives ready to fill the world with laughter and gooey smiles. So, there you have it. Humans mate by falling in love, building families, and sharing the magic of creation. It's a beautiful journey full of love, laughter, and maybe a little bit of messiness, but that's what washing machines are for. Remember, every family is unique and special, just like you. Thanks for joining us on Animal Mating TV. Now, go make some memories with your favorite people. Make sure to like and share the video with friends. Subscribe for more videos like this. Find out more about animal mating by clicking any of these videos.
Draft-free environment. Exposure to ultraviolet light and any sudden temperature changes can cause deterioration of boar semen. Therefore, a warm, 34 degrees Celsius, dry, insulated flask is required for collection. Once the boar has mounted the adjustable dummy sow, the person collecting the semen should grasp the spiral end of the penis with their gloved hand, polyvinyl, not latex, and clean, dry and warm, and allow the boar to thrust a few times before applying pressure. The pressure caused by the clenched hand, some boars prefer more pressure than others, which becomes obvious with experience, imitates the estrus sow's cervix and stimulates ejaculation. To minimize irritation to the boar and disruption to the process, the long hairs around the boar's prepuce should be clipped. To reduce the risk of dirt entering the semen sample, it's good practice to wear 2 gloves on the manipulating hand, removing 1 glove when the boar's penis is grasped. Ejaculation process. A 4-phase ejaculation process occurs once the boar's penis is locked in the hand and the boar relaxes. This takes 5 to 10 minutes to complete. Large amounts of gel signal the end of ejaculation. The boar should be observed after collection to ensure that the penis is fully retracted. Phases. 1. First phase, pre-sperm fraction, consists of clear seminal fluid, some gel, and dead sperm cells, and is heavily contaminated with bacteria. This should not be collected. 2. Second phase, sperm-rich fraction, is around 50 milliliters in volume, creamy white in color, and contains the greatest density of spermatozoa. Collect in the pre-warmed thermos or cup. 3. Third phase is about 80 milliliters in volume, and grayish in color due to the lower density of spermatozoa. 4. Fourth phase, post-sperm fraction, is up to 250 milliliters. Clear seminal plasma, free of spermatozoa, and gel is secreted from the accessory glands. The gel is separated from the collection by gauze, or similar material, fastened over the collection flask. Cap the collection thermos or cup, place in a warm receptacle and transport to the processing area. Filtering particles of gel from the semen prevents catheter blockage during insemination. Hair, skin, or dust particles from the bore or dummy must be excluded from the flask during collection. When semen is to be collected for dilution and storage over a few days, only the second and third phases of bore ejaculate are collected. When to collect? Collection of semen, from the same bore, should be restricted to no more than 3 times a week. This ensures high sperm concentration and semen volume. Excessive collection over a short period of time results in low semen quality and quantity and can reduce the bore's sex drive. Keeping records. It's important to maintain accurate records that identify the name and number of the semen donor, volume of the samples collected, date and time the sample was collected, use by date, for diluted semen, or use by time, for fresh semen, motility and density of each sample, including reference to abnormalities. These records are especially important for diluted semen, which can be kept for several days.